Hey everyone, my name's Annie. I wanted to talk a little bit today about how I got my first job in the pharmaceutical industry. I always knew from the start of my PhD that academia wasn't for me, so industry was my career goal from the very beginning. The pharmaceutical industry is very competitive and there are a lot of PhDs applying, so I felt like I needed to be very strategic about how I was going to stand out as a candidate. During my PhD, I focused on a couple of different things that I felt helped strengthen my application. In pharma, patients are the focus of everything that we do, so I really wanted to show that I was passionate about patients and that I really cared about human health. I volunteered in the emergency room at my medical school, and this helped me interact with patients and get a better idea of the patient experience. I wanted to make sure that I was showing I was passionate about the pharmaceutical industry and the business of science, so I did some freelance data analysis for a small local startup company. Being a strong communicator is really important in industry. So to strengthen my scientific communication, I started my own blog during graduate school, and I eventually ended up blogging for the American Heart Association as an early career voice. Of course, publications and presentations were expected, and I was able to include some of those, even the ones that were in review or in submission on my application. I knew that hiring managers would want to see evidence of leadership activity inside and outside of the lab. So I volunteered on student government and I participated in several clubs and initiatives outside of my research work. Before I even applied, I had someone from industry review my CV and they were able to give me some feedback on what they might expect from someone who was interviewing for that role. It was really important to quantify my accomplishments and make sure that they were relevant for the position that I was applying for. During my interview, I did have to give a presentation on my research, and I made sure to practice this with my lab mates and my friends to make sure that I got it down perfectly. I also did a ton of networking. I knew what pharmaceutical companies were in the area, and I was able to focus in on those during my job search. I was especially interested in companies that were researching areas that I did my dissertation research in. As far as the timeline, I went through 3 different rounds of interviews: a phone screening, an in-person interview, and an on-site interview. I applied for the position in August, and I accepted the position in October. I finished my PhD in March, and I started my job a week later. I think beyond having the research experience and the scientific expertise, people in pharma are really looking for candidates that they can see themselves working with, especially on collaborative teams. So they want someone who's friendly, who's excited, motivated, and team-oriented. If you're interested in going into the pharmaceutical industry after your PhD, let me know what sort of questions you have and how I can help. Thanks, and good luck!